Hello everyone and welcome to the Self-Sufficiency channel. It is I, Johnny Lee. And today I want to talk about something heavy. And I'm going to say it straight. A lot of Christians, and honestly, a lot of religious people in general, are in a relationship with God that looks a whole lot like a battered spouse situation. Now, before I go any further, this is not mocking real victims of domestic abuse. I'm using their experience as a mirror because what they describe is exactly how many believers talk about their relationship with God. They're terrified. They blame themselves for everything. They make excuses for the husband, and they're told that leaving is worse than staying. That's not love. That's control. So I want to walk through 4 classic patterns of battered spouse syndrome and show you how religion, especially Christianity, recreates those same patterns in your mind. And then I want to ask you one more question. If this wasn't God, if it was just a man, would you tell your friend to stay? Point number 1. It's always my fault. One of the marks of an abused spouse is this. When the abuser explodes, they automatically assume, I must have done something wrong. Now listen to how Christians talk when life falls apart. They say God is testing me. Maybe he's punishing me for some sin. Maybe I opened a door to the devil. The book of Job literally paints this picture. Nothing can touch Job unless God signs off on it first. So whatever happens, cancer, a car crash, lost job, somehow it's still God allowing it. Jesus raises the bar even higher. If you lust, you're already an adulterer. If you call someone a fool, you're in danger of hellfire. Every careless word is being recorded for judgment. So now it's not just your actions, it's your thought life under surveillance. When that's the story, how are you ever not at fault? You're trained to see every hardship as either punishment or a spiritual test. And because you can never be perfect, there is always a way to blame yourself. That's battered spouse pattern number 1. Number 2, I can't blame the abuser. It must be me. Another symptom, the abused person literally cannot put responsibility on the abuser. Even when he's clearly wrong, she turns it back on herself. Religion does the same thing. If you dare say, if God let this happen, that's cruel, you're told that you're arrogant, rebellious, shaking your fist at heaven. You're told his ways are higher. Who are you, oh man, to answer back to God? So instead of being allowed to say, if this story is true, this deity is abusive, you're guilt-tripped for even thinking it. And the preachers enforce it from the pulpit by simply saying, don't question God. Don't lean on your own understanding. If you backslide, your life will fall apart. That's not a healthy relationship. That's spiritual gaslighting. You're not allowed to ask, maybe the problem isn't me. Maybe the problem is the God in this book. Point number 3, he can hurt the people I love. In domestic abuse, victims will tell you they're not just afraid for themselves. They're afraid for their kids, their family, anyone the abuser has threatened. The Bible does that too. Think about the story where David sleeps with Bathsheba and their baby dies. God doesn't just punish David, he kills the child. Think about the plagues, the flood, the curses on your children's children. Whole families, whole nations wiped out because someone disobeyed Yahweh. Now fast forward to modern preaching. If you walk away from God, your kids might be cursed. Generational curses run through families. If you don't tithe, things will start breaking down in your house. You are literally told that your doubt or disobedience puts the people you love at risk. That is exactly how an abuser keeps a victim in line. And point number 4, he's everywhere, he knows everything. The last pattern is chilling. Abused spouses will talk like their abuser is almost supernatural, like he's everywhere. He hears everything. He always knows. Now look at how God is described. Omnipresent. Everywhere you go, he's watching. Omniscient. Every thought, every fantasy, every angry word is known. Omnipotent. He has all the power, you have none. You're told there are books in heaven recording every deed and every idle word. You're told angels and demons are taking notes. You're told be sure your sin will find you out. In a world before cameras and forensics, that was the perfect control system. You just had to convince people there was an invisible eye in the sky. And it worked. It still works. You carry the abuser around in your head. Let me read you a pattern straight from the Old Testament. And I want you to hear it like a marriage counselor reading case notes. In the prophet Amos, God tells Israel, his quote-unquote wife, I took away your food in every city, yet you did not return to me. I withheld rain. Some towns had water, others dried up, yet you did not return to me. I struck your gardens, I sent plagues, I killed your young men with the sword, yet you did not return to me. He starves them, he dries up their water, he wrecks their crops. He kills their sons. And every time the refrain is, yet you didn't come back to me. If this was a human husband saying, I stopped buying groceries, I cut off the water, I killed the kids' pets, and she still wouldn't come back. Every one of us would say, that man is a monster, get out. But because the name on the file is God, people will twist themselves into knots to call that love. They'll tell you it's discipline. They'll tell you it's justice. They'll tell you you're the problem for even questioning it. That is spiritual battered spouse syndrome. I know this pattern because I lived it. For 20 years, I was in that abusive relationship with Yahweh in my head. I questioned, I doubted, but I kept crawling back because I was terrified of dying in my sleep and waking up in hell. The day I finally let myself say, if this God is real and this is how he behaves, he doesn't deserve my worship, was the day the spell started to break. No lightning, no demon in the corner, no curse on my life. Just silence. And in that silence, I realized the fear was real, but the abuser was not. The control system was man-made from a patriarchal culture that used an invisible husband in the sky to keep people in line. When you see that, you don't have to keep playing the role of the terrified spouse. So if you're watching this and your stomach is tight, because this sounds like the God you were taught to love, I'm not here to shame you. I'm here to say your fear makes sense. You were trained to feel this way. But you don't owe eternal loyalty to an invisible being who demands your obedience under the threat of torture. You are allowed to ask, if this was a man, would I tell my friend to stay with him? If someone starved me, threatened my kids, monitored my thoughts, and blamed me for everything, would I call that love? If the answer is no when it's a human, it should also be no when it's a deity on paper. Self-sufficiency means you stop letting fear run your life. Whether that fear wears a suit, a collar, a turban, or a halo. You take your mind back. You take your conscience back. You let your morality come from empathy and reason, not from an ancient abuser threatening you with fire. Life is suffering. We all feel that. But death, at least, is free of this abuse. But in between those 2 points, you get one shot at deciding who you belong to. Remember, as I always say, if they have to speak for God, they've already lost the debate. I'm Johnny Lee. This is Self-Sufficiency. Take your crown back and walk out of that house.